Vienna, Austria, the Musikverein, one of the most prestigious concert halls in the world. Golden walls, crystal chandeliers, red velvet seats. Acoustics so perfect that every whisper, every breath, every note resonates with clarity. Tonight, there's a special auction, rare musical instruments, a Stradivarius violin, a Guarneri cello, antique flutes, historic harpsichords, and the centerpiece, a Bösendorfer grand piano, model 290, imperial, built in 1936, black lacquer finish, ivory keys, impeccable condition. But this piano is special, not just because of its craftsmanship, not just because of its age, but because of who owned it, who played it, who died at it. The auctioneer, a distinguished man named Klaus Hoffmann, stands at the podium. Ladies and gentlemen, Lot 23. The Bösendorfer Imperial Grand Piano, 1936. This instrument has extraordinary provenance. It was owned by composer and pianist Viktor Adler, one of Vienna's most promising talents in the 1930s. Tragically, Adler died in 1938, at the age of 28. This piano was in his studio when he died. It has been preserved by his family for 80 years. Tonight it returns to the stage. Opening bid, €200,000. The bidding is fierce. Collectors, museums, concert halls. Everyone wants this piano, not just for its sound, but for its story. Viktor Adler, a name most people don't know, but musicians know, historians know. He was a prodigy, composing symphonies at age 12, performing concertos at 15. By his 20s, he was being compared to Mozart, to Beethoven, the future of classical music, they said. But in 1938, everything changed. Austria was annexed by Nazi Germany. The Anschluss. Viktor Adler was Jewish. His career ended overnight. His concerts were cancelled. His compositions were banned. His name was erased, and on November 9, 1938, Kristallnacht, the night of broken glass, Nazi mobs attacked Jewish homes, businesses, synagogues. Viktor Adler's studio was ransacked. He was beaten, and the next morning he was found dead at his piano. Hands on the keys, head slumped forward. Officially, heart attack. But everyone knew, he was murdered, beaten to death, and the piano witnessed it all. The bidding reaches €400,000, 450,000, 500,000, 550,000 euros, going once, going twice, sold. The winning bidder is a private collector from London, a man named Edward Whitmore, 70 years old, wealthy, a lifelong lover of classical music. He's been searching for this piano for decades. Edward arranges for the piano to be shipped to his home in London, a Georgian townhouse in Kensington. He has a music room, soundproofed, climate-controlled, perfect for the piano. The instrument arrives carefully, movers in white gloves, special equipment. They place it in the center of the room, under a skylight, natural light pouring down. Edward stands back, admiring it. The piano is beautiful. The black lacquer gleams. The ivory keys are pristine, 82 years old but looks brand new. He approaches slowly, reverently, sits on the bench, places his hands on the keys. He's not a professional pianist, just an amateur, but he loves music, loves the feel of keys under his fingers. He plays a simple melody, Chopin, Nocturne in E-flat major. The sound is extraordinary, rich, warm, resonant, every note perfect, every chord balanced. This piano is alive. Edward plays for an hour, lost in the music, lost in the moment. When he finishes, he sits in silence, feeling the presence of the instrument, feeling the history. He whispers, "Thank you, Victor. Thank you for this gift." He closes the lid gently, leaves the room. That night, Edward is awakened by sound, music, piano music, coming from downstairs, from the music room. He sits up, confused. It's 3 a.m. Who's playing the piano? He lives alone. No one else has keys to his house. He gets out of bed, puts on his robe, walks downstairs quietly. The music continues, a complex piece, fast, emotional, virtuosic. He recognizes the style, romantic era. But he doesn't recognize the specific piece. He reaches the music room door, opens it slowly. The room is dark, except for moonlight through the skylight. The piano is there, and it's playing. By itself, the keys are moving, pressing down, releasing. The hammers are striking the strings. Music is pouring out, but no one is sitting at the bench, no one is touching the keys, the piano is playing alone. Edward's heart stops. He stands frozen in the doorway, staring. This isn't possible. Pianos don't play themselves. This isn't a player piano. There's no mechanism, no rolls, no electronics. This is an acoustic piano. It requires human hands, but the keys are moving. The music is playing, and it's beautiful, haunting, sad, desperate. The piece builds to a climax, loud, crashing chords, then suddenly stops. Silence. The keys stop moving. The room is still. Edward's hands are shaking. He turns on the light, floods the room with brightness. He approaches the piano carefully, examines it, looks for wires, mechanisms, tricks. Nothing, just a piano, just wood and strings, and keys. He sits on the bench, his legs weak, his mind racing. What did he just see? What did he just hear? He's not drunk, not on medication, not losing his mind. He saw it. The piano played by itself. He reaches out, touches the keys. They're warm, like someone just played them, but no one was here. He closes the lid, locks the music room door, goes back to bed, but he doesn't sleep. He lies awake, staring at the ceiling, thinking, remembering. Viktor Adler died at this piano, beaten to death, his hands on these keys, his blood on this wood. Maybe some part of him is still here, still in the piano, still playing. Edward doesn't believe in ghosts. He's a rational man, a scientist by training, retired physicist. He believes in evidence, in logic, in the material world, but he can't explain what he just witnessed. The next morning, he calls a piano technician, a man named Thomas Becker, one of the best in London. Thomas, I need you to examine my piano, check everything, mechanisms, strings, hammers, keys, everything. Thomas arrives that afternoon, spends 3 hours examining the Bösendorfer, takes it apart, inspects every component. Finally, he emerges from the music room. Mr. Whitmore, this piano is in perfect condition, no mechanical issues, no hidden devices, no electronics. It's a purely acoustic instrument, beautiful craftsmanship. Why did you think something was wrong? Edward hesitates. I heard it playing last night. By itself. No one was touching it. Thomas looks at him carefully. By itself? That's not possible, sir. Pianos don't play themselves. Perhaps you heard something else? A recording? A neighbor? Edward shakes his head. I saw it. The keys were moving. The music was playing. I'm not imagining this. Thomas is silent for a moment. Then he speaks quietly. Mr. Whitmore, I've been a piano technician for 40 years. I've worked on thousands of instruments. And I've heard stories about pianos that seem to have memories, especially old pianos that witnessed trauma, death, violence. Some technicians believe that pianos can absorb energy, emotional energy, and sometimes that energy manifests. I don't know if I believe it, but I've heard the stories. Edward stares at him. You think this piano is haunted? Thomas shrugs. I think this piano has a history, a dark history. And maybe, just maybe, that history isn't finished. He leaves. Edward is alone with the piano. He spends the day researching, reading about Viktor Adler, about his life, his music, his death. He finds old articles, photographs, reviews of Adler's performances. A genius, the future of music, a talent that comes once in a generation. Then he finds articles from 1938, after the Anschluss. Jewish musicians banned from performing. Adler's concert cancelled, degenerate music purged from Vienna, and finally, the obituary, November 10, 1938. Viktor Adler, composer and pianist, found dead in his studio, age 28. Cause of death, heart failure. But Edward finds another article, a smaller one. In a Jewish newspaper, published in exile, Viktor Adler murdered by Nazi thugs, beaten to death at his piano during Kristallnacht. Another victim of fascist terror. Edward feels sick. This piano witnessed a murder, a young man, a genius, beaten to death. His hands on these keys, his blood on this wood. And now, 80 years later, he's still here, still playing, still trying to be heard. That night, Edward doesn't go to bed. He sits in the music room, waiting, watching the piano. The hours pass. Midnight. 1 a.m., 2 a.m., nothing. Maybe it won't happen again. Maybe it was a one-time thing, a hallucination, a dream. Then at 3 a.m., it starts. The keys begin to move, slowly at first, a single note, then another, then a melody, soft, sad, beautiful. Edward watches, transfixed. The piano is playing, by itself. The same piece as last night, but now he's prepared. He takes out his phone, starts recording, video and audio. Evidence, proof, the music builds, faster, more complex. The keys are moving rapidly, chords, arpeggios, runs, virtuosic playing. Beyond what Edward could ever do, beyond what most pianists could do. This is master-level playing. This is Viktor Adler. The piece reaches its climax, loud, powerful, desperate. Then it stops, abruptly. Silence. The keys stop moving. Edward stops recording. His hands are shaking. He has it. He has proof. He plays back the video, the keys moving, the music playing, clear, undeniable. He's not crazy. This is real. He whispers into the darkness. "Victor, is that you? Are you here?" Silence. Then slowly, a single key presses down, middle C, once, twice, 3 times, like a response, like an answer. "Yes, I'm here." Edward's eyes fill with tears. "I'm sorry. I'm so sorry for what happened to you, for what they did to you. You didn't deserve that. Your music didn't deserve to be silenced." Another key, D, then E, then F. A simple ascending scale, like a thank you, like acknowledgement. Edward sits at the piano bench. "Will you play for me? Will you let me hear your music?" The music they tried to destroy. The keys begin to move again. A new piece, something Edward has never heard before. Original, composed by Viktor Adler, never recorded, never published, lost to history. Until now, Edward listens, tears streaming down his face. The music is extraordinary, romantic, emotional, tragic, beautiful. It tells a story of love, of loss, of hope, of despair, of a life cut short, of dreams destroyed, of a voice silenced, but not forever, not completely, because the music remains, the piano remembers. The piece ends, gentle, quiet, fading into silence. Edward sits in the stillness. "Thank you, Victor. Thank you for sharing your music with me." He feels a presence, a warmth, like someone is standing beside him, like a hand is resting on his shoulder. Then it's gone. The room is empty. But Edward knows. Viktor Adler is at peace now. He's been heard. His music has been played. His story has been told. The next morning, Edward contacts Dr. Sarah Mitchell, the historian from UCLA. He's read her books, her work on forgotten artists, lost histories. He emails her, explains what happened, sends her the video, the recording. She responds immediately. "Mr. Whitmore, this is extraordinary. If this is genuine, it's the most significant paranormal documentation I've ever seen. But more importantly, it's a piece of lost music. Viktor Adler's music. We need to preserve this, study this, share this." Edward agrees. He invites her to London. She arrives 3 days later, brings equipment, cameras, audio recorders, a team of researchers. They set up in the music room, wait for nightfall, 3 a.m. The piano begins to play. Dr. Mitchell and her team record everything. Multiple angles, high-quality audio. The piano plays for 20 minutes, 3 different pieces, all original compositions, all by Viktor Adler, all lost to history, until now. Dr. Mitchell is in tears. This is a miracle. This is Viktor Adler's legacy, his voice, his music, preserved in this piano. We have to share this with the world. Edward nods, but carefully, respectfully. This isn't a circus. This isn't entertainment. This is a memorial. This is justice. They spend weeks analyzing the recordings, transcribing the music, consulting with musicologists. Experts confirm the style, the technique, the composition are consistent with Viktor Adler's known works. This is genuine. This is his music. Dr. Mitchell writes a book, The Piano That Played Alone, Viktor Adler's Lost Music and the Instrument That Remembered. The book is published in 2019. It includes transcriptions of the 3 pieces, recordings of the piano playing. The story of Viktor Adler's life and death. The book becomes a bestseller. The recordings go viral. Orchestras around the world begin performing Viktor Adler's lost compositions. His name is resurrected. His music is celebrated. 80 years after his death, Viktor Adler is finally heard. His voice is finally amplified. His legacy is finally honored. Edward Whitmore donates the piano to the Vienna Musikverein, where it belongs, where Viktor Adler once dreamed of performing. The piano is placed on stage, a permanent exhibit, a memorial, a testament. A plaque is installed. The Bösendorfer Imperial Grand Piano, 1936, owned by Viktor Adler, 1910 to 1938, composer, pianist, victim of Nazi terror. His music was silenced, but the piano remembered, and now his voice lives on. Thousands of people visit the piano, musicians play it, students study it, historians document it, and sometimes, late at night, when the concert hall is empty, the piano plays by itself. Soft, gentle, grateful, Viktor Adler's music, still alive, still resonating, still refusing to be silenced. Edward Whitmore visits Vienna every year, sits in the concert hall, listens to performances of Viktor Adler's music, watches young pianists play the Bösendorfer. He feels proud, he feels grateful, he feels like he did something right. He gave Viktor Adler his voice back. In 2024, 6 years after the piano was discovered, a major documentary is released. The Piano That Played Alone, a story of music, memory, and justice. It tells Viktor Adler's story, his life, his talent, his murder, his resurrection. The documentary wins awards, reaches millions of people. Viktor Adler becomes a symbol of all the artists silenced by fascism, all the voices erased by hatred, all the talents destroyed by violence, but also a symbol of resilience, of memory, of the power of art to survive, to endure, to outlast tyranny. The piano remains in Vienna, a living memorial, a witness, a keeper of memory. And if pianos could speak, if wood and strings could testify, this piano would say, I remember the young man who played me, who loved me, who poured his soul into my keys. I remember the night they came, the violence, the hatred, the murder. I remember his last breath, his last note, his last moment, and I refuse to forget. I held his music. I preserved his voice. I waited 80 years, until someone listened, until someone cared, until someone gave him justice. I am not just a piano, I am a memorial, I am a witness, I am Viktor Adler's voice, and I will play his music forever. So the world never forgets, so his name never dies, so his talent never fades. I am the piano that played alone, but I was never truly alone, because Viktor was always here, in the wood, in the strings, in the keys, in the music, and now he's everywhere. In concert halls, in recordings, in hearts, in memory. That is the power of music, that is the power of remembrance, that is the power of justice. I am the piano that played alone, and I will never be silent again. Screen fades to black. Final text appears. The Piano That Played Alone, 1936 to 2024. Witness, memorial, voice. Then some instruments remember what we must never forget. Then in memory of all artists silenced by hatred, your voices endure. Silence. Then softly, the sound of a piano, playing a gentle melody. Viktor Adler's music. Eternal, beautiful, unsilenced. The end.